Hello, friends. I'm here to talk about Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, which celebrated the 25th anniversary of its release on the Nintendo 64 this past fall. Released in Japan on November 21st, 1998, and in North America 2 days later, Ocarina of Time would mark the glorious 3D debut of one of the gaming industry's most beloved franchises. And I do mean glorious. This game pushed the Nintendo 64's graphical capabilities to the limit. Hyrule, the land where the game takes place, feels huge and immersive. Every town and dungeon is unique in design, and each of the latter offers different sets of dangers and challenges to navigate. The character design is impressive. Especially for the bosses. Though contemporary gamers may be off-put by how polygonal they look, especially during close-ups and cutscenes. But I personally just think that adds to the retro charm. Link and Zelda's design in this game would heavily influence how they look in most of the subsequent titles. The sound is also something to behold. Every town and dungeon features ambiance that will evoke feelings of happiness, dread, and everything in between. The clashing of weapons and the grunts and screams of Link and the various enemies you fight complement the combat well. There is no narration or spoken dialogue. Navi is the only character that speaks any discernible English, and it's, well, just listen. Some other characters make sounds that could be best described as amusing. And Ganondorf does have a pretty convincing evil laugh. The music is incredible. It's well composed and almost addictively catchy. There are so many locations in this game where, as long as you're not in any immediate danger, you may be inclined to just stand there and listen to the music for a few minutes. The plot is straightforward but captivating. You play a young boy named Link, obviously, and are recruited by the titular Princess Zelda to thwart a plot by the evil thief/sorcerer Ganondorf to usurp the kingdom of Hyrule. Mild spoilers, Ganondorf will eventually succeed at this, but Link will go on to discover that he is the legendary Hero of Time, the Chosen One, destined to save Hyrule and defeat Ganondorf once and for all. You will be aided on your adventures by your guardian fairy Navi and an extensive array of colorful supporting characters. If you never played either of the NES games, Link to the Past or Link's Awakening, don't worry. Knowing the backstory to the previous titles is not necessary to follow the plot for this game. In fact, AVGN made a video years ago trying to decipher the hotly debated Legend of Zelda timeline, and that video was where I first learned that the events of Ocarina of Time actually predates the events of the previous games.
We have a sequel to the original, a prequel to the original, a sequel to the prequel, a prequel to the prequel, and a sequel to the young Link of the prequel's prequel.
So technically, if you want to experience the complete Zelda lore from the beginning, don't start with Legend of Zelda or Link to the Past. Start with Ocarina of Time. Gameplay-wise, Ocarina of Time captures the spirit of the earlier titles with regards to exploration and swordplay. Most combat will involve locking onto an enemy with the Z button and using B or sometimes A to strike at them with your sword. The R button blocks with your shield, and the C-pad is used to equip and use various other weapons and items, such as a slingshot, bombs, and bow and arrow. All of it feels perfectly intuitive. I have to admit, however, that occasionally the camera may be your worst enemy, as other enemies and objects in the foreground may end up obstructing your view. That being said, it isn't a game breaker, and it is extremely satisfying putting an enemy down after an intense fight, even more so if it requires some strategy, like having to switch between different weapons or target different weak spots. As is the case with most of the boss fights, it doesn't hurt that most of them have pretty sick death animations. Fittingly, for a game with Ocarina in the title, music will also play an important role in the game. Playing certain songs on the Ocarina at certain places will open up secret passageways, or elicit some kind of response from one of the side characters. Eventually, you will learn songs that will allow you to warp to different points on the map. Another gameplay mechanic carried over from earlier titles is the puzzle solving. Usually, these will be a welcome change of pace from the more action-heavy segments of the game. But this may be where the game faces the most criticism. And let me just say that this game can really push the critical thinking skills of a little kid to the limit with some of the puzzles. Right around the start of the fourth main dungeon is when the puzzle difficulty increases exponentially. Seasoned players will find these to be a robust challenge, but may push more casual gamers into deep frustration territory. Honestly, my parents bought me Ocarina of Time for my 11th birthday in 1999, and I ended up getting stuck so many times that I just let one of my closest childhood friends beat the first 4 dungeons of the game for me. I don't know. I guess I just had really bad problem solving skills at that age. I did finally beat the game on my own in 2001. It was such a huge accomplishment in my eyes that I even recorded it on VHS because I'm a giant nerd. And since then, I have obtained virtually every item or upgrade in the game that may be acquired by the player. The game does offer a number of side quests, though not as intricate as you might expect from more expansive RPGs like The Elder Scrolls. These, along with various challenges and minigames, will obtain special items for Link, increase his health or ammo capacity, or make a little money on the side, as well as provide mildly amusing ways to waste time, like bomb chew bowling and fishing. But all of these things basically act as little breaks from the main storyline, which you will be highly motivated to complete. Now for the important question. Does this game still hold up 25 years later? Absolutely. Ocarina of Time is probably my favorite Nintendo 64 game, and quite possibly even my favorite game of the PlayStation Nintendo 64 era. And I actually had a lot of fun capturing the gameplay footage for this video over the past week. Didn't take me long to get addicted to the gameplay and emotionally invested into the story. I felt like a kid again. GoldenEye was the game I asked for when I first got my N64, but in my opinion, that game does not have nearly the same replay value as Ocarina of Time. And today, it is really only worth playing for the multiplayer. After beating Ocarina of Time for the first time, I would actually start a new file once a year, just to beat the game all over again. I did this every year for at least a decade. It was really that fun and rewarding to complete the entire game from start to finish. If you're into retro gaming, especially for games of that time period, this is an absolute must-play. Even though I have an obvious nostalgia bias, I can guarantee that you will not be disappointed. Anyways, that's about all I wanted to say about the iconic Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. What were your thoughts on the game? Was it the greatest on the N64? Maybe of all time? Do you have any fond memories of the game? Please let me know in the comments down below and smash the like button if you enjoyed the video. Take care, and I'll see you next time.